These are the week 9 buy low players, the guys that can win you a league. In some cases, some of these guys have a greater impact if they land on your roster right now, especially at the cost of entry, because you're not having to you're not, sorry, I got an ad playing on the side. We're not looking to steal away some of these guys as much as others. Like, there are players that are injured right now. Nico Collins, you can't steal him away like you could last week, but you could still get him for a significant discount over, let's say, a still playing, not injured Breece Hall. Breece Hall's not going to be free. And Pacheco is going to cost you a lot less than somebody like Walker who's playing. He's playing probably badly to his owner right now. At this current moment in time, they're worried about what Walker is producing. They're worried about what Kamara is producing. But Pacheco's out right now. He's not back yet. So significant buy low opportunities on injured DK, injured and going on a bye week Deebo Samuel, injured Nico Collins. But these guys, the rest of them, there's different price evaluations we got to go through and figure out what makes sense for your team, because they're not going to be free. And I'm tired of seeing people say, Smitty, these guys are all big name players. No one's selling them. They certainly are. It depends on the situation. If someone's got 3 or 4 wins, 5, 6, 7, maybe not. But if someone's got 2, 3, or 4 wins, and dare I say anybody that has Neighbors, Collins, Hill, those were high draft pick players, bro. Like, if you had those guys, you probably don't have more than 3 wins. Plain and simple. Buy low, buy low, buy low. Walking into week number 9. Let's do this. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. File on in, hit that like button, and subscribe if you're new. Let's go.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the Fantasy Football Show.
We're live. A couple of you are asking if we're doing a premiere right now. No, we're not doing a premiere right now. This is a live show. Phone lines will be open here in a minute. But these are the bad boys to go get this week. And if I had to start with like the biggest monster of them all, it would be Breece Hall, who's 7 feet tall. I get that the Jets are a little worrisome right now. I admit there's part of me that wants to say, you know, you've got to make sure you're buying at the right price, because what happens if they start losing more games? What happens if Breece is like, I don't want to put my body through an unnecessary end of the year and I'm kind of banged up in week 15. Let me just sit out weeks 15, 16, 17 because we're not making the playoffs. Something like that. That worries the hell out of me. But I think we're buying at a territory of value that kind of bakes in that risk, because I don't think you got to buy him as a top 5 overall player, top 5 running back. Maybe he doesn't dip much past the 10, 11, 12, 13 equivalent if drafting today overall value. But that's baking in a lot of risk, because if he does do what he did last year, even on a losing team, was running back 2 overall at the end of the year, Breece isn't a quitter. Breece won't sit out, and play games, but if he's dinged up, he might, and they're losing, they got nothing to play for. The coaching staff might make that call more than Breece, but that threat is there. But he's a baller, and I certainly think that there's great and ample opportunity to trade for Breece Hall if his owner is losing, if his owner doesn't have at least 4 wins right now, or 5, probably 5 wins. If his owner doesn't have 5 wins right now, I bet you Breece Hall is a susceptible piece on their team. Yeah, Gibbs is an absolute monster. Looking at last week's buy low list. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. I mean, Taylor, Gibbs, Achane, Laporta, who, honestly, I haven't even put Laporta's mug on here yet. He didn't really, I want to say he earned this check mark, but I'm going to take it back, because his owners are reaching out to me in droves right now saying, Smitty, should I sell Laporta? Felt like he didn't do any, felt like he got a lucky touchdown. He had 2 touchdowns. Box score Bobbies don't really know that he scored a second touchdown that got called back. Look at these guys. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Taylor, Gibbs. Lamb and Gibbs are league winners. They're the best buy lows. I did a video. I did 2 or 3 videos last week and the week before emphasizing these are the best buy lows in fantasy football, and it's not even close. There will never be, in future weeks, in past weeks, in 2024 anyway, better buy lows than CeeDee Lamb and Jahmyr Gibbs. And if you want to make that impacting trade, that impactful trade, it was those 2 players. So congrats on that. And for everybody complaining about Mason, no offense, but guys, we got him for free. Mason helped get you right here, right now. Mason's been phenomenal. And there was a potential expiration date on a free player named Jordan Mason that was a home run for this channel and all of us.
Let him cook.
I get that some of you, and by the way, we're still awaiting whether this news can be confirmed that there's a torn ACL. I very much think it's a torn ACL for Stephon Diggs, because one thing that you can know for certain when you tear an ACL is you get a pain in the back of your leg. And as soon as he pulled up, he put his hand right on the back of the leg. The reason you have that is it's the quickest way to try and get your hand on the pain, because you can't hold the kneecap. You got the kneecap, the patellar tendon. There's a lot of layers of tissue, bone, and tendons and ligaments in the way of the ACL. Whereas on the back of the leg, it's, you could literally stick your finger, or if you made an incision, go in and grab the ACL. You can't do that from the front with the kneecap and everything there. So naturally, when you tear your ACL, your body, your arm, your brain, it tells your hand, oh my God, the pain, and you go straight to the back of the leg and you hold the back outer side of the leg. That's where the ACL pain is. You just feel it there. When I tore my ACL, it's the first place I went and grabbed is the back of my leg, because I felt like I could get to it and hold it. I felt like I could apply pressure to the pain. And when Diggs grabbed that back of his leg, it definitely indicated to me there was an ACL tear. But we'll find out more. Non-contact usually is, and that's going to open the door to Tank Dell. Tank Dell could be a buy low in this situation. Let me see if I can put Laporta on here. Laporta needs to be on here because it seems like his owners don't know what they have. We'll put Laporta right there. So Breece Hall, top buy low of the week from a big name perspective. Going to cost you more, going to be harder to attain. His owners probably got a better chance of being 5 wins or greater than some of these other guys, because he has been doing well all year. He hasn't been bombing or anything. Kamara is also another player that's going to be hard to acquire, but the right owner will give him up and surrender Kamara, because they're growing frustrated and tired of getting L's potentially at the cost of what feels like their savior that's supposed to each week in and week out save them. And now 3 weeks really in a row, they haven't got what they got in the beginning part of the year. And he still ranks extremely high, top 5 running back, potentially, in most every format, Kamara. So he scored so much in the beginning of the year. He had this big lead on everybody. He's been basically inefficient for the most part comparatively to his former self in weeks 1, 2, 3, etc. That you're just disappointed. If you own Kamara, you're just flat out disappointed. And if you don't have 5 wins or more, you are definitely looking to shop him and kind of sell him before he tanks and falls off the face of the earth. Remember, he's 29 years old. There is some risk to it. But again, risk is baked into pretty much every one of these players, hence why we're buying them, because I'm assessing. I've been sitting here for an hour concocting this list, and all of these risks are acceptable because the price tag has dropped and the risk is absolutely 100%, 1000%. Baked in, boys, for sure. Kamara, we'll go over some trade scenarios, but Kamara is probably the biggest name player that you can get cheaper than Breece Hall, especially at running back. There are only a couple running backs that are buy lows this week. Walker, Kamara, Breece Hall, Isaiah Pacheco. That's pretty much it. Like, those are the big dog buy lows that have potential league-winning, upside, and it's slim pickings. You can't go get Achane, you can't get Bijan, you can't go get anyone. Gibbs, they were all very, very easy to obtain. Even Monty, you'd think maybe because of the Gibbs hype, right? Just like when Monty was doing well a couple weeks back. Not that Monty didn't do well. He had 2 touchdowns last week. But when he was appearing to be the full-time guy, the main guy, Gibbs playing, second fiddle to Monty, Gibbs got pushed down and demeaned and devalued, right? And he was easy to have. That's why we called him one of the best buy lows of the last 2 or 3 weeks and absolutely smashed that out of the park. But the same reaction isn't necessarily the same with Monty. Scoring, I don't think you can get him cheaply. You could poke around. He could be another running back you could try and get in some sort of creative deal. But Kamara is the next best big name buy low. Walker is too. There's some risk involved. It seems like Ryan Grubb loves him, wants to use him, then game scripts him out. And if we pull up what Kenneth Walker did in week number, let me pull up last week and the week prior to that and just spit out some numbers to you guys. But it's been disappointing given how much upside Kenneth Walker has right now. He truly just didn't get used again in this game. He did have 4 receptions for 33 yards. Now, the thing I'm going to tell you about Walker is he probably, of these 3 guys right here, we'll get to Pacheco in a second, has the most bang for the buck because Breece Hall, is going to cost you a lot. Like still borderline first round value, borderline first to second round turn value if you were drafting today. Because no one's going to let him, someone's going to step up and take him. He's got that much value. Kamara fell probably into round 2 easily. I don't think he fell into 3, but he fell into round 2 in equivalent trade value if you're drafting today. Walker wasn't, listen to this. He scored a touchdown in week 1. Let me pull up Kenneth Walker. Hold on. Okay, Kenneth Walker scored a touchdown in week 1. Didn't play week 2. Didn't play week 3. Touchdown. 3 rushing touchdowns in week number 4. No touchdowns in week number 5. 1 touchdown in week number 6. 2 touchdowns in week number 7. Very consistent. It was only when he was injured and Charbonnet was in there in week 2 and 3 that he didn't deliver. But the guy has 7 touchdowns in 6 played games. 7 touchdowns in 6 played games. And he probably costs you the least amount of value in a trade. You could get him easily outside of running back 1 value. Kamara is going to cost you very low-end running back 1 value. Breece Hall is going to cost you mid to low-end running back 1 value if you get lucky and you catch an owner that's got 3 or 4 wins, minimum, maximum, maybe below 4 wins. Walker is going to cost you not near running back 1 value. This is your safest bet if you wanted to try and strike gold. Rags to riches. Last week was his only game where he didn't score a touchdown except for that week 5 game. And he had 9 carries for 12 yards, 1.33 a pop, 5 targets, 4 receptions for 33 yards. It was just a bad game. It was a horrible game for Kenneth Walker. Makes him a very, very tough player to believe in right now if you own him. So you're a little antsy. You're a little bit like, okay, I'm not liking the volume. And there's concern, and that's why you got to make sure when you're going after a player like this, the risk is baked in. His week number 6, 14 carries. That's good. Week number 7, 14 carries. That's good. Last week, 9 carries. 9 carries. It's going to concern his owner. There's definitely risk involved, but I love buying this kid if you need some sort of running back 1 savior. Pacheco's got the ability to be a top 10 running back. He has the ability to be a top 7 to 10. I wouldn't put him top 5, but 7 to 10. And right now, he's not expected. The unknowns of what week he comes back. Week 10? Is it week 10? Is it not week 10? We don't know. The unknowns make him a very curious situation, especially for those that own him. And if anybody owns him and you think, oh, they're just they've waited this long, why would they trade him? You need to understand their situation and get inside the mind of that owner. Do they have 3 wins? Do they need something now? Pacheco, in some sort of creative, you send away a top 3 or 4 wide receiver, let's say. Jamar Chase, whatever. Not saying you should trade Chase unless you have to. If you're losing with Chase, what good is he to you? If you're winning with Chase, why would you trade him? So make sure you qualify. If you're winning with Chase, skip this part of the video. What are you doing? Or at least hang out and laugh at those that want to trade him. But if you're losing with Chase, bad on you for drafting a team. Maybe you had injuries and it's not your fault, but drafting a team that isn't winning with him. He's doing what he can. But if you have to trade Jamar Chase for a Pacheco and somebody, Pacheco's so much lower in value than Walker, Kamara, and Hall. Your wide receiver ask in the 2, you're getting 2 for your 1 Jamar Chase. Your wide receiver ask goes sky high. You can't get a Tyreek Hill with Walker. You could try. You might get it. We've seen it, but we've seen people do crazier things than that. But you're probably not going to get a Hill or someone that big, a Nico Collins with Walker, a Nico Collins with Kamara. You're not getting it. But if you forego these 3 running backs as your buy low and you go after Pacheco, you might just get a Collins thrown in. You might get a Tyreek Hill thrown in. You might get a Neighbors thrown in. And if you think that you won't, try it. How many times do you see somebody in your league make a dumb trade? I can't tell you how many times I saw in the last 3 or 4 live streams alone, somebody write every 8 to 15 minutes. One person at least writes, somebody just got lamb for blah, blah, blah. I couldn't believe it. Somebody was able to steal away H-Hand last week for a ham sandwich. So pissed off. It's because they didn't try. If you don't try to get Pacheco and Hill, someone else will. You don't know if Wilma in accounting knows what Wilma might not know what she's doing. Steven Repo might not have a clue how good Tyreek Hill could be and how good Pacheco might be. He might be afraid that Pacheco doesn't come back. Or better yet, I hear come back to a timeshare. Maybe he does, but I've priced it in. I've baked it into the risk assessment here, and it's worth every penny if you're buying at the right price tag. Worthy, let me go through these 4 guys real quickly. Worthy, if he could be added into deals, he's a little bit more easily had unless you have an RB like J.K. Dobbins or Tracy, and you need a wide receiver bad and you can't use J.K. Dobbins or Tracy. You could trade either one for Worthy or especially JMO right now. If I told you the amount of people that ask me if they should cut Jameson Williams right now, you would be baffled. The guy's going to be out 1 more game, and you have people saying, should they cut him? The coach has already said, Campbell's already said, I'm not degrading or downgrading this guy in my mindset. I'm not putting him on the bench. He says, I trust him. He made a mistake. He'll climb back just like he did last time, that he fully trusts Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams is a very, very good throw into a trade or acquire using that JK or somebody that you need to send off for a wide receiver. Same thing with Jaden Reed. People are acting like Jaden Reed doesn't have at least the potential to be a top 12 to 15 wide receiver. He absolutely does. Patrick Mahomes, 2 touchdowns, could have had 4 touchdowns last week, but woulda, shoulda, coulda. We can't keep playing apologist, to Patrick Mahomes' lack of production. He had 2 touchdowns, but he had 2 touchdowns, almost 300 yards. I think he had 300 total yards with the rushing, right around there. 2 touchdowns. I think he's back. I think that this team is going to get going with Pacheco returning soon, with Kelsey getting on his horse, with Worthy scoring and looking a little bit better, and with Hopkins another game versed in this very complicated, one of the most complicated systems in the league. I think Mahomes is going to be one of the better buy lows on the year, and he's starting to feel like it already. I think a lot of people would agree. People that don't own him might keep crapping on him, but people that own him are like, it felt pretty good. I felt like there was a lot going on, and it could have been a lot better day, but it was still solid. 2 touchdowns, nearly 300 total yards. Not the worst game in the world. Definitely showing promise, and they keep winning, and they're fantastic. This team is well-oiled. It's not like last year's lack of production in a scrambling, not altogether kind of failing KC Chief team that got it together in the playoffs and won the Super Bowl, but during the regular season, they were kind of a mess. This is a whole different situation. This is, draining the clock, Andy Reid play calling scenarios, which are some risk involved because they can continue to do it. They don't need to score a lot of points. And when they've taken their shots, they've missed a lot of them. That's been the big difference maker. If Mahomes starts connecting on some of those, it's 3 and 4 TD games on more occasions than you think. Laporta, another smaller name player, a big name player, but smaller name this year anyway. People acting like he doesn't have the ability to be a top 4, top 3 tight end. This guy scored 2 touchdowns, 1 got called back last week, and people are already still talking about trading him. Laporta, I know JMO, when JMO comes back, people think he'll drop off. He's been injured. He's had 2 different injuries this year, and I think he's a top 3 tight end if drafting today. All right, now to the big name players. Hill, I've kind of already spoke on this. Tyreek Hill is a fantastic go-get player. Didn't really deliver what you wanted last week, but is still effective. It was still like a 14-ish point game for most people's scoring format. Still had 70-plus yards. We just want him to grab that 170, 80-yard touchdown. It's going to happen. I think it's going to happen immediately. I think that this is the last opportunity. And we couldn't have all of these. We had almost all of them go off of the big name players. We knew there'd be one player of like Lamb, Gibbs, Taylor, HN, Tyreek Hill, DK, Debo that wouldn't explode. You know, the buy lows that we need to go get, we knew a couple of them wouldn't explode, and you'd have one more chance, one more week, a delayed reaction, a delayed buy low window closing. This is it. I truly believe Tyreek Hill still has top 5 wide receiver potential, if not top 1 to 5 wide receiver potential. Tua did exactly what Tua needed to do to prove to us that he is the difference maker. The offense looked back to normal. HN exploded. I think Tyreek Hill is a fantastic buy low. Maybe the best buy low still. Overall, if you look at the value, the cost of entry, probably is still the best value in fantasy. Gibbs and CeeDee Lamb were the best buy lows of the year walking into last week, and I couldn't have beat a dead horse on those 2 topics enough, and both of them smashed. Tyreek Hill, out of all of these players on screen, maybe Pacheco too, but Tyreek Hill, Nico Collins to some degree as well, if you can get him from somebody that's frustrated and can't wait another week and they're going to sell him cheaper than they should. This is the best buy low in fantasy that's left. The most impact, the biggest bang for the buck. Go get Tyreek Hill now. It's worth the gamble if you need a gamble. If you need to take a risk anywhere, this is worth it. This is the one I would take that's left on the board. Neighbors, there's a lot of concern. As we said in the beginning of the year, you take him as a top 12 to 14 overall player, you're going to run into a problem where they just can't get him the ball. A bad quarterback can't just throw the ball up all the time to Neighbors, and Neighbors figure it out and put the team on his back. Then you got the concern of hospital balls, bad thrown footballs, laying out for bad thrown footballs and injuring himself just by laying out for the football. You saw that tonight. He looked like he got hobbled a little bit. Then he was frustrated. Then he hit the ground, and the announcers are like, did he get hurt? And they're like, I think he's more frustrated than hurt, but he did get banged up. He got up. Just laying out for the football. Bad hospital balls, either by way of getting in a collision because of the hospital ball hangs in the air too long, or you throw your body out there just trying to grab anything you can because they're bad errant thrown passes that are nowhere near where they need to be thrown to. But there's buy low opportunity here. This is 2 concussion games where he didn't play. 2 very mediocre performances. Not like he didn't have some stats, but enough to frustrate owners because they're expecting a certain product level and they're not getting that product back. That output's not there. This is 4 games in a row that people feel he's not what was advertised. Now is time to strike. And you're buying at a value that protects you into expecting glory every single week. He can be a little erratic, but as long as he has a couple of those big spike weeks, you're buying him at a win-a-league territory, well outside the top, probably 20 overall. Nico Collins, the closer you get to his return, you're clearly going to pay more. But in turn, if the owner that has him continues to lose, you're kind of buying yourself a little bit back of that potential increase in value. It's kind of like buying a home and selling a home. If the homes are going up in value, the ones you want to buy, that means your home's going up in value. If you're trying to buy a house over here and you're like, I want to buy it as it's falling, right? I'm going to wait a little bit. Well, your home's going to fall. And then if you go to sell, it's going to be in some way related and correlated and connected. So similar to that, if the owner that has Collins wants to sell him high or wants to hold him or sell him, whatever, a lot's dependent on their record. And if they're going down and Nico's going down, they feel like they got to sell him lower because he played yet another bad game. They're waiting to sell him or hold him based on their record. The owner that has Nico has Nico lost, let's say, this week. So now they're even more desperate, and Nico lost even more value, or Neighbors in the case of Neighbors, because Neighbors played bad. Now they got to sell Neighbors lower than normal. In the case of Nico, you're inching closer to a return, but if you wait one more week, you might be completely out of a playoff hunt spot, even a wild card spot. So you have to sell him at the low value. Go buy him. DK Metcalf is day to day, not week to week. This could remove him from the buy low list, but I think people are still worried enough about him that they'll sell him lower than they should. Debo's got a bye week, has a rib injury, constantly banged up, fragile Freddy, if you will. But Brandon Ayuk is out for the season. So the opportunities are glorious for him. So these are the buy lows week 9. I hope that helps a lot of you. Go buy low, go buy low, go buy low. Let's get to these super chats, then we'll open some phone lines and have a good conversation here. $10 hauler from Maiko. Appreciate you, bro. 3-5, 8-man playoff. Love, Achan, Hall, Braylon, Roshan, Adams, Neighbors, Dell, Waddle, Adunze. Thinking of Stafford, Knicks on waivers. I would love to get Stafford, bro. I think Stafford's fantastic. It's crazy he's still available in so many leagues. I would definitely go get Stafford. Who would I drop? Probably Tolbert or Roshan or Schultz and just pick up another tight end if you need one later. You need one because Kittle's on a bye this week. Yeah, you gotta hold that. So probably Tolbert, I guess. Roshan's hard to hold on to and trust anyway, but maybe Love plays and you don't need to make the move for grabbing a QB at all. But I think Stafford would be a smart, proactive move. I like the team a lot. I don't think you can sell some of these pieces on your team unless you sold Achan on the high. And honestly, I think your team looks really damn good, and I'd probably just hold it and hope and pray that Neighbors and Waddle and Adams all get going together. If they do with Kittle, you've got a team that can knock off any team one game at a time. I don't know that it'd be the overwhelming favorite if you were to look at all the rosters, but could it be a team that's ranking 3 or 4 that wins the whole thing? Absolutely. Jaguars wide receivers banged up. Parker Washington next. I'm not a big Parker Washington guy, bro. I'm not going to be on that train. You never know. I'll swing back around and tell you I'm wrong if he ends up impressing me, but I think there's much better options on the board. Plus, there's now talk that Brian Thomas Jr. is not actually going to miss the game. He's kind of, iffy for it, but there was talk that he was going to be out 2 to 3 weeks. Now that has been pulled back, and he's day-to-day, not week-to-week. But here's the wide receiver, running back, quarterback, tight end, waiver wire board for the upcoming week number 9, bro. So pause that and take a gander, see if there's better options. 4-4 PPR. Trade MHJ for Nico. Have Tank, DK, JMO, and Keon. I probably would take Nico. If you feel like 4-4 based on the records in your league is good enough. And I imagine you're floating right there in the middle. And that might be good enough. I would probably say give me Nico, bro. I'd say give me Nico. It's close. It's super close. Chat, would you agree or disagree given this situation? Please vote. Bros, appreciate you. 4-4 on the season now. Thanks to your advice. Thank you, pal. I just got to say, I would like to know your thoughts on Kyle Pitts' breakout game. I think that, look, it's all good news. I mean, Kyle Pitts not only played well, had a big play, he played well the whole game. And he looks like he's come along a little slowly in terms of, playing at that top 5 level. I think he's been a little spotty. I think they've been a little erratic in getting him the ball. But he's become a very, very, very important, trusted asset for Kirk Cousins. And I don't think that's going to change, bro. I think he's here to stay. I think we're seeing what we've wanted to see for years out of this kid. And I would say he's top 5 locked in, loaded going forward. And I'd be very, very excited if he's on my roster. And I have him in a couple leagues, so I am very excited. But I just mean for you, I wouldn't be looking to sell him. Not unless you had two options. And if you did, you could potentially get the world for him right now in a very slim tight end, climate. Like you could easily go get take a gamble on a Tyreek Hill. You could easily go get a Kamara right now if you had to give up a little bit or something. I mean, that's how good Kyle Pitts is. And if no one's willing to pay that, I'd rather hold. Moves to make: Josh Allen, James Conner, Breece Hall, J.J. London, McBride, Flowers, Tank, Ramondre, Nico. Nico and Pacheco are fantastic right now, bro, for your roster. You throw Pacheco in there next to Breece Hall. You throw Nico in there next to J.J. and London, and Josh Allen's in there. Flowers, McBride. I don't do a thing. Stand down. Your team is going to come together. You've had a lot of things you've been waiting on connecting, and McBride's taking some time. The Nico injury, the Pacheco injury, it's all going to come together, bro. Don't change lanes on the freeway because your lane's slow, and get in that lane that looks faster. It's going to slow down too, and the lane you're in is going to pick up and go past it and zoom past it, and you won't be in it. So don't change lanes. Stand down. Don't trade.
Alert. Stand down order in effect.
It's a fantastic squad, bro. Love the team. Stand down. In week 9, DK, Dell, Shakir, or Tillman. Let me pull up the schedule real quickly and just I gotta get in week 9 mode. I'm thinking all week 8 right now. There's a few games I need to look at real quick, bro. Hold on one second. Let me pull it up. Schedule week number 9. I can't believe we're entering week 9. It is wild. And keep in mind, San Francisco, Pittsburgh are the 2 bye week teams. What was the question? DK, Dell, Shakir, Tillman. If DK plays and he's looking like he could, that's at home against the Rams. And then Dell is where is Dell, at home or away? Dell is, why can't I find the Texans? Oh, yeah. That's the Thursday game. Thursday's tough. I'm gonna say put Dell on the bench for DK as long as DK is gonna play. I do worry he's gonna be limited or something like that. I think if we don't know by the Thursday game, you've got to throw Dell in there. Like if we don't have a clear indication, I don't wait. Tillman's okay. I don't mind that, but I guess, chat, would you wait on Tillman? Like if you didn't know DK was going to play or not, would you wait and use Tillman? Or would you go Tank Dell Thursday night against the Jets? Can you guys toss that out there, please? Thursday night against the Jets for Tank Dell. Do it in advance if you don't know the status of DK, or put off making the DK decision and play Tillman in a worst case scenario. We got a Tillman, Dell, Tillman. Keep in mind, Tillman's the overwhelming chat vote getter. But keep in mind, Alan, that you got a lot of people that they picked him up and they're playing him and they want him, like, that's like willing it to happen. It's not necessarily. There's a little bit but the same thing could be said for the Dell owners. But I think there's a lot of buzz around a rising guy. Like for example, if Tracy, a lot of people on Tracy in here. If we were trying to pit Tracy against somebody that was a bigger name player, that's probably the better call. You get a lot of Tracy votes too. I'd probably say. And Tillman is at home against the Chargers. Damn, that's so tough. I'd probably say against that Jets D in conjunction with the Thursday night game. In conjunction with Stroud looking pretty bad lately. In conjunction with not having Diggs or Nico there to help him against the Jets D, that's a recipe for multiple red flags. Let's go Tillman. We'll start DK. if he plays. Monty and Hunt for Walker. Too much? No. Look, Hunt might lose his job at some point really soon, so that doesn't feel like a big difference maker to me. The question is Monty safer than Walker? Walker has more upside because he's the number one, the clear number one. But dare I say Monty feels a little bit safer, and I'd probably stick with Monty and get those touchdowns, baby. So that's hard for me to say because I'm a huge Walker believer, but I think I'm a huge Walker fan at the right cost. Better flex option, McMillan, Elijah Moore, or Slayton. Probably Slayton as long as he's healthy, but I don't know. I'm pretty excited about McMillan still. I don't know what he's going to do moving forward. McMillan is a tough player to evaluate. I mean, Baker's playing so well, no matter what. It's kind of hard to doubt McMillan long term. But, last week, McMillan had 7 targets but only pulled in 4. But 7 targets was nice. 8 targets the week before. So McMillan's getting used, but he also ran the ball in each of the last 2 games one time for what was it, 11 yards and a 17-yard run. So he's such an athletic player. But as long as Slayton's healthy, he's probably getting a lot of targets, especially if Daniel Jones is the quarterback. Now, if there's a quarterback change of any kind, we got to monitor that. But, I mean, Slayton has 2 100-yard games this year, one of which we just saw tonight. 4 for 108, 7 targets, only pulled in 4, but he had 108 yards. I'd say Slayton by a hair, Jonathan, just because of what we've been seeing, what's happening right in front of our eyes. Rockout, appreciate you. Rockout says, finally on a 2-game winning streak. Attaboy, Rockout. Rockout was struggling with some of the injuries and just getting rocked. His world was getting rocked. Rockout was getting rocked out. McConkey Dynasty outlook, sell high or hold. I think it depends. I'm always willing to sell high, and his value is pretty good right now. I'd explore it, but I think he does deserve a little more attention from me. I'll admit that. If BT is a day-to-day, do you think he has any trade value for Nico or Puka? No, 0. You can't trade an injured BT or even a healthy BT for a Puka or a Nico right now. You can try. If you give up more, maybe a Pickens and Dell and BT package for Puka or Hill. I could see somebody doing a Pickens and BT or Pickens and Dell. You are running a little bit of a risk of overpaying there because Pickens has got so much potential. But then again, it's like, at the end of the day, Pickens, had a good day, should have been great. But, part of that was on him. He didn't get his foot and he got pushed, but it's not like he got robbed. Like everybody's saying that Pickens got robbed. Pickens didn't get robbed. He didn't get his second foot down. That is part of the rules. You can shove a player out of bounds. That's not an abnormal thing, really. It's just it was hard to see it. It had the camera, the replay. Like you literally, your eyes were tricked. And then when they showed the slow motion replay, it was like, oh, he got shoved out the nick of time. So we can continue to say woulda, shoulda, coulda for a lot of players. But I don't know. I think it's kind of an overpay potentially. I would say Pickens and Dell's not. Pickens and Dell for Puka, Pickens and Dell for Hill. But Pickens and BT for Puka or for Hill, it could be an overpay. One I'm willing to take on if you've got tons of depth and you're in an 8 or 10-man league, though. Let me preface that. B43, appreciate you. We're back 4 in a row going for... after going 0-3. So you got to stick with it. You start 0-3, you can't panic. This guy's 4-3 when he started 0-3. Gibbs, Chase, Hurts, McBride, Dell, Waddle, Dobbins, Deontay, Tracy, Najee. Who would you offer for Walker? Najee? Najee and Walker are pretty close, though. Tracy and Deontay. Maybe Deontay gets traded and there's a lot of buzz behind his new landing spot. Waddle and Tracy for Walker's interesting as well, B for 3. But, I'd also understand not doing that. Any thoughts on Adams, Waddle, or Dell for Tyreek? I would do Adams and Dell or Waddle and Dell for Tyreek. I think there's a lot of upside there. I'd do either one of them. And there's risk involved. Dell, Tillman, Chuba, Waddle for my Dell, Tillman, Chuba, Waddle for my flex. Okay. I think we're saying, maybe Waddle. Guys, are you going Waddle or Tillman in the flex? I think we already decided Tillman over Dell for the most part. The chat voted on that. But are we doing what's that look like if you add in another player? So can we vote on that one? Waddle or Tillman, please. Waddle or Tillman, please vote on that one, broskies. Appreciate you. Lost again, 2-6, 10 PPR. Need to make a big move here. Team is Hall, JT, Chase Brown, Kyler, Love, London, MHJ, Dell, Waddle. I'd probably say I'm looking to keep JT and Hall. I'm looking to maybe move one of the quarterbacks if that's not a super flex team. I don't see super flex anywhere. So you might have to take a gamble. I don't think anybody's going to trade for those quarterbacks, though. Probably stuck with them. Plus, it's probably good to have it with Love's injury risk right now. London, MHJ, Dell, Waddle. I guess you're trying to trade Dobbs or Waddle or Dell with Chase Brown for one player, bro. And you're just going to want to take a stab at these players that we've got on screen. Kamara, Walker. But wide receivers more so because you got Hall and JT. So, Nico, Metcalf, Debo using, I would say, Chase Brown and Waddle. I'd rather have Neighbors. I'd rather have Hill. I'd rather have Nico. I'd rather have probably Debo. But you're 2-6. You can't wait on Debo, probably. Reed would be interesting. What about Dobbs? And you got Coleman, though, too. I don't know. What about a tight end? One of these tight ends, you could sell high on Pitts and say, you know what, I'm going to bank on Ferguson and try and get an upgrade for Chase Brown. Try and get a Walker. Try and get a Kamara. Try and grab Pacheco using Waddle. Or, if you're going after a wide receiver, DK using Ferguson and Waddle for DK. Using Ferguson and Coleman for DK. Ferguson and Coleman for Neighbors. Appreciate you, bro. Caleb, Henry, Hall, Pickens, Sutton. 8-0, man. We don't see a lot of 8-0 teams. Achan, would you make a trade or boost wide receiver or QB? Had Godwin, but he's done. Probably gonna say, damn, you're 8-0. I'm not saying your team isn't good, but your wide receivers are after losing Godwin are shaky now. Well, I mean, he just went down, but that's gonna be nice winning this week. Nice job. I would say with Achan, Henry, Hall, and you still have Pickens, and I'm trying to move Otton or Pitts with the Deontay Johnson trade buzz, or Keon Coleman uptick, or Pickens. I'm trying to get Hill. I'd rather scrimp a little bit of my wide receiver 2 and 3 to have a big name wide receiver. I'm going after Pickens. I'm going after, you're the best candidate for Debo and Nico and DK and weathering through the injury part because you have enough depth. I go after all the injured players, bro. I try and do more than one. I try and get a Pacheco, a Nico, I try and get 2 of Pacheco, Nico, Debo, DK. Half PPR, Kyler, Marv, Sutton, AJB. Trade ideas, upgrade running back, wide receiver, or spend fab on Ladd or Tillman. I could spend a lot of fab on those guys. You're running out of time of finding guys on waivers, so full load drops or use the trend in your league. If trend is 50, 60%, use that trending. AK Monty, solid. Bowers and Joku, trade one of those guys. Marv, Kyler, AJB. It's a good team. I don't know. Maybe Pickens and one of the tight ends for Tyreek Hill or above. Nico or Hall or Kamara. That would be pretty good for that team. Dak, Gino, Monty, Kyron, Bucky. I love Monty and Kyron. I still kind of like Dak. You're 5-3. Nice job. Garrett Wilson, Zay, Dell. Pretty solid. Moves to make. Again, trade one of your tight ends. Hard to do, but it's a tough tight end market. You think some people would be biting. And, I mean, Zay. I try and upgrade Zay or Garrett Wilson or Dell using one of the tight ends. So go to those teams that have like Tyreek Hill, Nico, St. Brown, Jamar Chase, JJ, and just see what you can do. See if somebody wants Laporta and Zay Flowers, or Garrett Wilson and Laporta, or Garrett Wilson and Ferguson for one St. Brown type player. Let me get these super chats here. About 500 of you in here. Punch that thumb up button and subscribe if you're new. Higgins, Evans out. Mason, Amari Cooper, 1 point. Smitty, thanks. Lamb, Cook saved my week and season 141 to 130. Just picked up Waddle and Keon Coleman. I have Amari Cooper. Should I keep? Who should I keep? Trade, play as flex. I mean, I don't know what you mean as flex. I don't really know what you're dealing with, bro. You have what are you saying between Waddle and Keon Coleman or Cooper? I would say probably Keon Coleman right now. I do like Waddle though. I'm trying to trade Waddle or Keon Coleman if I'm you with a potential Mason. Go to the CMC owner, see what they have. But if you could trade Mason and Waddle, Mason and Keon Coleman for Kamara, who's doubted, man. He's doubted a lot for Kenneth Walker. I probably would do it. You kind of got to do it. For Nico. Ricky, appreciate you. 4-4. Keon and Tillman on waivers. Traded for Brees and Diggs before this week. Nice job. Hurts, Hall, Bijan, Gibbs. I love the team. Brooks and handcuffs. MHA, Diggs, Shakir. Diggs going down. Diggs probably has a torn ACL, but we'll know more. I think, you don't have Keon, Tillman. You grab one of those guys. Part of me wonders if you could trade, I would look to trade Tracy, Brooks, and MHJ. One of those, Tracy or Brooks and MHJ, to get a top wide receiver like Hill or above. Connor and maybe Brooks for one wide receiver like Hill or above. I'd explore trading Bowers if I needed to get a big name receiver. It is what it is, man. But I think you can maybe do it without it. Especially if you pick up like Coleman and now you have a bigger piece. Just traded Walker, Dell, and Waddle for Neighbors. Walker, Dell, and Waddle for Neighbors. I don't know. I think that's too much. But HM, Bijan, Amon-Ra. It's a good team. You're going to have a solid team. Your depth, you lost a lot of depth, but you wanted to take that gamble. I could understand it. I won't say you got blasted on it, but you certainly gave him enough. That's a very, very good trade for him. And if your team, your lineup might get better, but we'll see. Maybe it doesn't. I mean, I love Walker, bro. Appreciate you, boy, dropping the IM in a 12-man PPR league, 7-1. Bijan, Mixon. Great running stable, bro. Swift. Maybe you're trading Dobbins and something. Running backs, Algier, Pierce. What are your thoughts on trading Swift for Tyreek straight up? I easily would do that. I know I've been on record not liking Swift enough, and I've taken a lap for that. I took a lap for that after the games. I came on here on Sunday, the afternoon recap show, and I said, you know what? I love Swift as, last year he was on the Moon Man list, and I abandoned him because of the situation he was going to, and because I didn't think that he'd be used properly in that offense with that horrible offensive coordinator over in Chicago. But he continues to thrive. He's the one true constant. But I'd take Tyreek Hill. Caleb, Daniels, Mason, Mixon, Bucky, Tracy, JKT, McLaurin, tight ends Ferguson and Joku, CMC and Jennings. Who do I drop to bring back CMC? Probably drop Jennings. You know what? I don't know. I mean, it's either Mooney or Jennings. I think Jennings is going to be good with Ayuk down for the year. But I'd probably say, Mooney is pretty steady. He's been hit and miss, though. He's been really hit and miss. He's definitely been somebody that you bench because he isn't doing anything, and then he goes off on your bench. on the rise, though, again. Let's see. Let me pull up his stats from yesterday. 85 yards and a touchdown, 4 receptions, but he had 2 games in a row where he was very bad. Then he had a 100-yard game, then he had 2 mediocre games, then he had an 88 and a touch. He's pretty good. He's more consistent than Jennings, but Jennings now is a full-time job. I'd drop Jennings because he's hurt. But good squad, bro. I like the rest of it. I don't know that I even do anything until next week. 14 team PPR 4-4. Team is Hurts, JT, Achane. Love that. Wilson, Smith, Bowers, Bigsby. Bench is Adunze, McMillan, Franklin. Any moves to make? JT, Achane. I'm trading Garrett Wilson and Bigsby, or Garrett Wilson and Chubb, or Garrett Wilson and Bigsby, Garrett Wilson and Chubb, to just get like a Hill, to get a Nico. Garrett Wilson off his big game straight up for, I'd rather have Neighbors than Garrett Wilson go forward, but some could argue that Neighbors isn't going to see consistency. I get that. I'm not acting like it's an easy call, but I think I sell Garrett Wilson on the high week. Garrett Wilson and Bigsby, Garrett Wilson and Chubb. Trying to see what that can get you. Look, worst case scenario, you explore some sort of downgrade using Bowers too. So maybe go to the teams that have like Laporta and see what you can upgrade Garrett Wilson into by giving them Bowers for their Laporta, because I believe in Laporta. Try that. That's probably my most intriguing idea. Hurts, love. Gibbs, JT, Dobbins, Cup, Tyreek, love it. Devontae Smith, great team. Brian Thomas Jr., Worthy, Deontay Kincaid. 4-4. I'd probably try and upgrade Dobbins or trade Dobbins and BT, or Dobbins and Devontae Smith for one bigger, greater player. St. Brown, Kamara, Breece Hall, Tyreek Hill. You got Tyreek Hill, but let's see here. Jamar Chase, probably not going to be doable. You never know. What if you did Dobbins, Devontae Smith, and BT all for Jamar Chase or JJ, or maybe even St. Brown? Anthony, appreciate you. 12-man 6-2. Before I sell Kamara for Achane, is my team good enough to hold? Hurts, Mahomes, Gibbs, Kamara, Bigsby, Allen, Hill, JJ, Neighbors. It certainly is, but I think it's better with Achane. So I would definitely make that trade.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Real briefly, we're going to open up the phone line. Week 9, waiting upon waiting a, let me put a question mark on this graphic here. It's on the graphic, the title image, but I want to make sure everybody knows we're awaiting a final confirmation on a torn ACL. Jordan, you're live.
Smitty, what's up, man? Thank you for all you do, bro.
Thanks, pal.
Thank you for all you do. I'm 4-4 in both of my leagues, but trending upwards, so I appreciate you, man.
Attaboy.
I got 2 questions for you. I'm wondering who to pick up on waivers this week. McConkey's out there. Tillman is still out there. And I know this is a different position, but Bo Nix is still out there, and I have Mahomes, and I need somebody to back him up. Who would you go for out of those 3? I am hurting at receiver, and I do believe in Mahomes. So
Mahomes
out of
is
McConkey and Tillman.
Mahomes is on waivers, you said?
No, I have Mahomes, but I'm trying to back him up with the only thing that looks good out there is Bo Nix.
Oh, Bo Nix. I would probably say, guys, McConkey or Tillman. Who are you going with? McConkey or Tillman?
And while we wait on the chat, what's your thoughts on Ridley going forward?
Don't trust him. I sell him the first minute I can. We got a Tillman, a Ladd, a Tillman, a lad. It's pretty close. As much as I like Ladd, I think it's a lot to ask him to continue to do what he's doing the way Harbaugh's running his team. But
yeah, he likes to drain the clock and run the ball.
Yeah, and Winston loves to just freaking throw the ball, bro.
Yeah. And one more thing on Ridley, he does have a great rest of season schedule. I mean, the best for wide receivers. So that's why I asked about him. I know he's on the Moon Man list. I had complete faith in Ridley for a long time, but with this quarterback situation, man,
yeah,
it's difficult.
I know it sucks because he's finally doing well, and I'm like not excited about it from the Moon Man list perspective. I mean, you could say we come in here and circle around and go, we knew he'd do it, but like that just goes to show how I think you could say unbiased I am. Like my own Moon Man just had 100+ yard game, exploded first game without Hopkins, and I'm not even excited. Like I don't know. Maybe another week. Maybe another week, and I start saying, "Looks like I need to take a lap because I was right." I don't know because I don't know why I can't. I don't know why I can't get behind this. I don't trust the situation. And they also they've waited until now. Hopkins hasn't been taken that much away from him. You know, everyone's acting like Hopkins leaving like opens this big old door. I don't know. I don't think Hopkins didn't do anything in KC this week. I don't know. I'm hoping that changes, but I don't think Hopkins may have fallen off. I hope not. I hope he does something.
Well, how about this? Hopkins or Ridley going forward?
Ridley. Moon Man. Come on, he's on the Moon Man list, bro. I'm just kidding.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Gotta go, bro.
Appreciate you, Smitty.
Later. JD5, Hall, Gibbs, Chase, Brown, Tracy, Devontae Smith, BT, Amari, Dell, and Njoku, Kincaid, Jennings, 5 and 3 moves to make. Thinking about going for Kelsey or wide receiver upgrade. Hall and Gibbs is fantastic. Tracy and Chase Brown, one of those two with BT or Amari or Dell or Devontae Smith to go get a Hill, Chase, JJ, St. Brown. You know, even a Neighbors would be intriguing. Like if you were to give up, let's say Tracy or Chase Brown with Amari or Dell to get Neighbors, or if you had to do BT and Chase Brown or BT and Tracy for Neighbors, I'd consider it because BT's banged up. You know, it's a big deal that BT's going. He's out 2 to 3 weeks. One report says, and then the most recent one said he's day to day, not week to week, and could actually play this week, but. I don't know. I tend to think that it's somewhere in between. We're getting two different reports. I highly doubt he was out 2 to 3 weeks and now he's going to play. I bet you he was out 2 to 3 weeks. They dialed it back, but it's still going to be at least a week. But that's a total guess. And then this last super chat, and then I'll go to the phone lines here. Pick up JMO off waivers. Of course, bro. Of course. I mean, do you see him here? He's a buy low. Of course, I'm going to tell you to go pick him up. I'm telling you to go trade for him, let alone go pick him up, my broski. 100%. And then let me get these real quick out of the way, guys. Sorry. $10 hauler, Jordan Love, Gibbs, Bijan, AJB. Any moves to make? Love, Gibbs, Bijan, AJB, Swift. I like Swift a lot, but we're hearing we can get Tyreek Hill for Swift. I do that. St. Brown for Swift. You got to throw in a little more with the St. Brown maneuver, like Chase Brown. I do it. Swift and Mooney. You know, Kincaid, something like that. And then 12-man 3 and 5 with Mahomes, Kyron, Walker, Sharps, Lamb, Bowers with Pittman, Jennings, Waddle as flex. Any advice? Potential trades? Kyron, Walker, Mahomes, Jamar Chase, Lamb. No, you got Jamar Chase and Lamb, bro. If that's Chase Brown, I'm very disappointed. But if that's Jamar Chase and Lamb with Kyron and Walker and Mahomes, you're playing in a 5-man league. This isn't a 12-man league. If that is Chase Brown, I'm very disappointed because I thought that was what we're dealing with here. If it is Chase Brown, Waddle and Chase Brown for one player, and you're trying to go get that like Tyreek Hill player, my boy. And let's see here. Love. Did I do this one? Is that the one I just did? Love, Gibbs, Bijan, AJ Brown, Mooney, Swift. Yeah. And then this one here, last super chat, then to the phone lines. Hurts, Achane, Bijan, CD, AR5, or no, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Dell, Bowers, Tolbert, Mostert, Sharps, Franklin. My flexes are good enough. I mean, look, your team. Look, you got Hurts, you got CD, you got Achane, you got Bijan, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Dell. Like, how can you get better than this? What are you gonna trade? There's nothing to trade, bro. Just ride with that team. I think you start tinkering too much with something that's working. You're 5-3, but you should be like 6 or 7 wins, honestly. And then B-Rob Jr. is still a solid running back too. I think he is, but I'm always looking to couple him with another player and trying to upgrade, bro. Josh from Cali, you're live.
Yo, what up, Smitty? Thanks for the graveyard shift, brother.
Yo.
Got to pile on with the Tillman questions, man. So I offered my league mate, J-Mo, for Tillman, and he counters with Jaden Reed. And I really want to take it, man.
I'd
take a laugh or what?
I'd take Jaden Reed over Tillman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Tillman. And maybe like 2 weeks from now, we're like, no, never mind. Tillman's a new guy, or he's good. Like Tracy. Tracy's really good.
He looks so big. He looks like Debo out there. He's huge.
Yeah, I like Tillman a lot, but I guess I take Reed, but
yeah.
I don't know. Let me look at something. Let me just like stare at his numbers again. Because like sometimes, sometimes guys rise up and like, he reminds me of is maybe Marquise Colston. Marquise Colston. Remember Colston from the Saints? When he rose up, it had that feel of like, is this like how Tillman feels now? Is this a nice little guy that's taking advantage of some stuff and might be on the radar next week? And then we start liking him a little more, or is he a rising star trying to tell us, hey, what are you doing?
He's like in the slot. He's breaking tackles. Colston was like a curl route guy. This guy's all over the field.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to compare their games. I'm trying to say, like, when Colston came out of nowhere, people didn't accept it for weeks. They were like, I don't know, this guy's like a converted tight end, isn't he? And everyone's like, no, Colston's going to be there. And then Colston he was the real deal. He's trying to tell people.
Jameis back to too, though. Jameis has done it. He's 55 attempts a game. He's crazy with it. Jameis Winston, It's a big, I don't know. Close. I'm close. All right. Get your opinion.
I think I'd go. Guys, what are we looking at here? Reed or Tillman?
Tillman questions all night,
Tillman. I'd take Reed, but Reed is a bit risky, says Drew. Just keep in mind, like, after week 1, like, we're all being a little reactive, but like I said, maybe it's like the Marquise Colston thing where it's like we're just assuming he's not a rising star. He looked like it. But keep in mind, like, coming out of week number 1, Jaden Reed was a top 10 wide receiver to everybody. He had 138 yards and a touchdown through the air and 33 rushing yards and a touchdown on the ground. And it's been tough, though, sledding. He's had some good games, though. He had another 139-yard and a touchdown game. He had another touchdown. He's got 4 touchdowns. Reed's got 4 touchdowns. I mean, but Tillman's got 2 2 last game.
Reed like they do everything.
We can't hear you, bro. You sound like you're in a fish. You sound like you're in a fish tank, bro.
Sorry, bro. I'm just saying they use Reed a lot. They use him like Debo, But with the quarterback being hurt, I don't know if he's better than the rest of the season.
All right, bro. Appreciate you.
Later, brother.
Later. Look at the chat. They'll give you a vote. I couldn't really hear him anymore. Anthony from Tucson, you're live.
Hey, I haven't really heard you talk about Nick Chubb. I wanted to get your thoughts on him.
I mean, he's
he a
back.
Buy low,
I think he was a good ad, and like if he was free, but I mean, I don't know, bro. He doesn't look explosive. He's averaging about, I would say, I don't have, let's see, maybe I have the stat here. He's averaging 2.74 yards per carry. That's not very good. He's got the touchdown, but he fell in to the end zone.
The only reason I bring that up is because, the first week he was back, he was, didn't even play the second half. Last week he got a couple carries the second half. So it's like they're easing him in, but I feel like he's the lead back.
Yeah, but he had 16. He had 16 carries last week, bro. That's a lot. And he had 3 yards a carry. I don't know. He just doesn't look the same, and he shouldn't look the same. His knee was mangled. At 30 years or 28 years old, mangled. The onset of immediate arthritis is knocking on his door, if not already there. The arthritis, tendonitis, all that stuff is just, there's no way your knee doesn't suffer from that. He is suffering from the inability to explode. Would I have him thrown in to a deal in hopes that he could become my flex option? Sure. Would I start Chubb in my flex? Yes. Because I think he could get in the end zone, but that's it. I don't think I'm buying him if he's thrown into a deal. Sure. And keep in mind, they're going to be throwing the ball now with Winston. It's going to be 80 attempts. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I 3 yards a carry or 2-point-something yards per carry is not impressing me yet. They got a bye week coming up in week 10. Maybe week 11, maybe buying him going into the bye week is you could get him for free. You could trade a receiver that you picked up that's doing well, or maybe you get him thrown into a trade. But I would say I wouldn't expect much this coming week. Then he's got a bye week, so buy him going into the bye week.
Okay.
All right, later, bro. But trust your gut. I could be wrong. Travis, you're live.
I got you.
Hey, I just want to touch on the Tillman thing. At first glance, I was saying, probably Tillman. I think what he has to decide is, one, is Love going to miss any time? I know they have a bye coming up, but is Love going to miss time, or is he going to be banged up all year? Because it's tough if that's the case. But two, you got to look at Tillman's schedule, and he's got a brutal schedule coming up. So if you think Jameis Winston can just chuck through that, fine, because he's going to get targets. But, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Denver, Pittsburgh, KC, the next 5 weeks is really tough. So.
Reed has Chicago in week 11. Reed has Detroit.
He does have a tough schedule, too.
No, Reed, it doesn't appear so. Reed's got Detroit this coming week, and that's a good schedule for receivers.
That's a good one, yeah.
Okay, then he's got a bye week. Then he has Chicago, which is tough. But then he has San Francisco, Miami's tough. But then Detroit, Seattle, New Orleans, Minnesota. Those are all
the season's good. Yeah.
Those are all greenlit receiving matchups,
Yeah.
Straight from week 14, 15, 16, 17, straight through the playoffs. All greenlit.
Yep.
Easy matchups. So I'd say Reed's a cakewalk schedule, minus a couple hard games. But I'd also say that the fact that they run him at least 2 times a game, he averages probably, I would say, about 9 yards, 8 yards a carry. Okay, so you're going to get probably about 15 to 20 rushing yards. You're going to get 1 touchdown every 8-9 games on the ground, 10 games on the ground, whatever. So he's due for at least 1 more rushing touchdown on the year, maybe a second if you're lucky. And he's got 3 receiving touchdowns through week number 8. And I think that's pretty par for the course. So I'd say give him 4 to 5 more touchdowns on the year. Give him 3 or so 100 total yard games. And he's the kind of guy that's going to get you about 4 to 5 receptions a game. He's just so steady. And coming out of week 1, he was everyone's top 12. This is wide receiver 1. This is wide receiver 1. And because he had 2 touchdowns, he was used like Deebo Samuel. But I think what Travis is saying makes a lot of sense. Is like you got to decide for you. Is Jordan Love going to stay healthy? Because last week he got 3 targets and caught 2 of them, and that was under the command of Willis. And Willis also didn't do well with Willis
week 2
before.
And 3.
Yeah, week 2 and 3
Yeah, week 2 and 3.
He had 9 yards and 60 yards, I believe, or 8 was 8. 9 yards and 50 yards. So 2 games in a row with Willis, he has 50 yards. But the thing is, Love is said to be a minor groin injury. He's day-to-day, not week-to-week. I think he plays. Playing with the groin injury is risky. We saw what happens when you play with an injury like the groin, a calf, or a hamstring. Look at Nico. Look at DK. They go out there. Or Evans, I'm sorry. Evans and Nico are perfect examples of when you go out there with a hamstring. And a groin's very much the same thing to me. And a calf injury. These are very, very easy to, if you don't let them fully heal, they turn into something bigger. So hopefully a groin strain, it truly is the least amount of strain you could have on the groin without it being a significant tear, even to like a grade 1, like a full grade 1. A strain is a tear, though.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows. Everyone's like, it's not a tear, it's a strain.
Mm-hmm.
A strain is a tear. It's just it's just a very, very low level. Everything's a tear. Working out tears your muscles. You know, when you go work out, you tear your muscles, and then they grow back stronger. That's why your muscle gets bigger. Then you tear your muscles, and then they grow back stronger. You tear them, and they grow back stronger. So, you know, tearing doesn't necessarily mean that there's, you know, some sort of unfixable, you know, needing surgery situation. But we'll find out, man. And my final answer is I go Reed. I'd go Reed. He's a buy low for a reason. I love Tillman. You should full load drop on Tillman.
Initiate full load drop.
If he's available on waivers, he should be that kind of investment where you go balls to the wall, all in on Tillman. No question about it. You could even put him above Keon Coleman if you want. They're at least equals. We'll put him right here, dead even on the waiver wire. Tillman, full load drop. That's where you should put your cojones on the line in a league where he's available. Full load drop, 100%. But Reed for me.
Yeah, I agree too. Like I said, at first I was thinking, you know, Tillman could do this, and he could. But that schedule coming up bakes in quite a bit of risk, you know.
Yeah. What else you got?
Not much. Just real quick. Bo Nix, is he like a decent backup in fantasy now with his rushing floor and his schedule's not bad coming up?
He seems like a pretty
or would
solid.
You be looking elsewhere?
He seems like a pretty solid guy. Go forward, I would say. I like him a lot, bro.
What about him or May? Are they kind of coin flip or?
I go Knicks right now. I like May a lot.
Yeah.
I like May a lot, but I'd say maybe Knicks right now.
That looks good. All right. Yeah, that's all. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. What is Bo Nix has been playing pretty damn good.
Yeah. He's 35 against Carolina, 14 against New Orleans, 25, 27.
Bro, he's QB9.
His rushing.
He's QB9.
Yeah.
Bo Nix is QB9 right now in most scoring formats.
Right.
Unbelievable.
That's what I was saying. His rushing floor is just, people don't realize he runs like he does. You know, he didn't run much this week. He didn't have to, but 75 yards, 61 yards, 47 yards, you know. That
Connor, you're saying Bo Nix sucks. He's QB9, bro. He's QB9.
He's been saying this all night to people. I know.
Yeah. Connor, relax. All right. Appreciate you, Travis.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later, sir.
Later.
Bye.
Superfish, appreciate you. Would you rather drop for a player I'd like to pick up for week 10? Leggett or Jennings? I would rather drop Leggett easily. Thank you, Superfish. Appreciate you. Yeah, he's in a volatile situation. Trade White. Oh, I'm sorry. Peter, are you still here? I'm sorry about this, bro. Trade White and Bucky for Dell and Sutton. I'd rather have probably Rashad White right now. Yeah. Yeah. You could go either way, though. Thank you, Superfish. Appreciate you. Poor Peter, waiting for a long time. Peter, you still here? Peter, I'm sorry about the wait on that super chat. My guy. Well, I think I'm going to call it here. Appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for coming in twice tonight, or 3 times tonight. We did the 8 p.m. show. We did a wrap-up show at about 11 something. And then we just did this graveyard 1 a.m. show where we got 500 people in here. And please hit that subscribe and like button if you're new. We're almost at 31.2K. We just need about 10 more subscribes to get to 31,200 subscribers. So just 10 more. I see them happen right here. We're awaiting the ACL confirmation MRI news. Tomorrow we'll be live on that if it ends up, whether it's good or bad. Bo Nix has been looking fire. He's been looking Mahomey. He looks really good. Bo Nix is good. Keep in mind, I have Bo Nix above Caleb Williams all offseason. Never changed it. I had my rankings were JD5, number 1 overall, not a hesitation, never wavered. People laughed at me. Now everybody's acting like they saw some of this coming. No channel. No here, let me give you an example. This guy to me is going to be better than Lamar Jackson on every level. I'm not saying it happens in year 1 necessarily, but this is a gunslinger. He's not just a gadget quarterback. He's already better, more accurate, and I think a better thrower than Lamar Jackson. Now, is he going to make mistakes? Is he got to learn to read defenses? Yeah, there's a lot of things he's going to have to weather through, but he's pinpoint accurate. He was a 40 touchdown passing quarterback, 10 touchdowns rushing, 50 total. He had 35 touchdowns from the pocket last year out of the 40. And so he gets
the closest approximation you can have to the NFL facing SEC defenses.
Yeah.
SEC defenses are not NFL defenses. Don't hear me wrong, audience. I'm just saying the closest approximation to the NFL, the NFL facing SEC defenses.
Yeah.
SEC defenses are not NFL defenses. Don't hear me wrong, audience. I'm just saying the closest approximation you can have. If you go.
Don't hear me wrong, audience. How's that make you feel, guys, when Scott Hansen's referencing you, the audience?
Bonkers statistically in the SEC, that's notable. At the end of the year, I want to see 10 plays from you that any fan anywhere could go, that's it. That's why he was a top 5 pick right there.
You might see him in week 1, Scott.
Hey, where would I see them if I was watching?
On NFL Red Zone. How does that make you feel when he said audience, when he's talking specifically to the Fantasy Football Show audience? That was live, by the way. Joseph says, is this pre-recorded or this is simulation? Yes, Joseph, this is a pre-recorded premiere. This is not live. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Appreciate you all. Thanks for all the super chats. Thank you for the call-ins. We will be back tomorrow. We got a lot to discuss tomorrow. I'm glad we got the week 9 bye lows out of the way. And tomorrow we do probably Panic Chamber amongst rankings and things like that. Thanks for the Graveyard Show, Smitty to Saturn. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate your super chat, my guy. Sorry, Joseph, you couldn't catch us live. See you all tomorrow. Deuces.
He's Kyron, he's 7 feet tall, and he knows how to handle a ball. He's Kyron, he can take frowns and turn them upside down with his touchdowns.
Hi. What would you like?
Footballs, please. Lots of footballs, please.
Coming up.
He's Marvin, he's 11 feet tall, and he loves to consume the football. He's Kyler, he's 4 feet tall, but Star and Marvin will answer the call. They're Kyler and Marvin.
A Chan. A Chan is the man. His haters call him small.
But he is 9 feet tall.
A Chan is the man. Hi, my name is B. John Robinson. I like long walks on the beach. And, well, I also like scoring
Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. Additionally, live whenever news breaks, and live most midnights. And after any game, we go live to recap it. Waiver shows immediately after the Sunday night game, like, you know, when the clock strikes 0, we're already live for the weekly waiver show, etc., etc., etc. See you all tomorrow.
Get breached.